Hello everyone, so I'd like to do another episode in my series on analysing the public personas of famous celebrities, and I'm going to look now at Kanye West. Now again, little disclaimer at the start, this is about the public personas, it's not about them as real people, and that's why I'm only doing celebrities, because obviously if I did normal ordinary people that wouldn't have a public persona, you'd be invading their privacy a fair bit. So I'm only focusing on what we know of them based on the public persona. Might not be what they're really like. As we all know, there are some people who appear to be really nice and they're actually really horrible, and vice versa, some people appear to be really horrible but actually really nice. I could give some examples of that, but I'm not going to. But anyway, so what is Kanye West most famous for? He's most famous for being a singer. I don't think there's any doubt that none of his scandals are more famous than his actual singing. So he's most well known for being a singer. But he is actually known for being some of his controversies. And probably the most notable one, and unfortunately I don't remember the year, but when he went, I believe, to the MTV Music Awards and was one of the presenters for, I believe it was Best Music Video of the Year. And the winner was Taylor Swift, who I've also had a video about. And he said, oh no, I want to give it to Beyonce. Now Beyonce is not somebody who I list as one of the horrible people in horrible celebrities. Taylor Swift is, but that is not why people got upset with him. Nor is it even that Beyonce, her video probably was better than Taylor Swift. I think most people agree it probably was. But the fact was that he was a presenter. It wasn't his choice who wins. It was, the voting panel's choice. He was just presenting. He had no right to make that kind of statement. And ever since then, and I can't remember which year that was, but it was probably 10 or 15 years ago. But ever since then, he's been embroiled in a lot of controversy. A lot of people have questioned a lot of his statements. And there's been a lot of questions about his mental health. Now, I don't want to delve into people's mental health too much, even as a public persona, because first of all, a lot of people have mental health issues that don't really talk about it. And I think that is a very personal thing in most cases. A lot of people have mental health issues and carry on with quite ordinary life. They might get a bit of treatment, whether it's psychological or medical, chemical, or some other form. And some people don't get that much treatment, but they sort of try to deal with it somehow, perhaps with a psychologist, perhaps even on their own, just trying different methods to keep things under wraps. Now, that is, and then we also have people who are not really mentally unwell, but they are just a little bit different to other people, and that's a whole different thing, and some people call them mentally ill and when they're possibly not really. It's more just a difference, a condition. So we have all sorts of things there, and I don't want to say if he has a mental health issue that it makes him a bad person. Nor do I want to say that if he is a bad person that we should be excusing it based on a mental health issue, whether he really has one or not. I don't think that we really should be in the habit of excusing bad behaviour by blaming them on mental health. The only times that I would allow that is if you have an absolute reason why it's actually not a bad behaviour and it just appears to be because we're not understanding their mental health, or perhaps if there is an absolute reason that explains that they have no control over themselves or very little control because of that mental health issue. Anything less than that, it shouldn't even be mentioned in the same conversation. And again, I don't know what his mental health issues might be, but it doesn't appear to me as if it's very likely that his mental health issues explain his bad behaviour. I'm not aware of any mental health condition that forces somebody to go up on stage and try to give the award to Beyonce instead of Taylor Swift. There's a lot of other things he's said and done since then. But look, that seems to me to be a self-entitled jerk. And it reminds me of when, I believe it was Mickey Rourke, he was on the Masked Singer America version, and he got sick of wearing the costume, so just took it off. He wasn't supposed to do that, he wasn't allowed to do it, it was on live TV, he just took it off. Just, yep. So if everybody else had done that, well, bad luck. He wasn't the loser, he deprived the audience of getting to vote. Just, he just felt like doing it. And, and you might say, well, how's that the same kind of thing? And it's not, but it is, they're both quite self-righteous. And a third example I could give is when Will Smith quite recently punched Chris Rock. Now, Chris Rock, fair enough, he was saying some things that were quite hurtful. And if you're in your backyard or in your, at a pool table or whatever, you might punch him and you might say, well, you antagonise me. And might be fair enough. But this was a comedian speaking at a public awards night at the Oscars. And he punched him. There were no criminal charges, but he was banned from the Oscars, I believe, forever. And it was just very self-entitled. It wasn't that the action was wrong. I mean, some people have argued that it was. But regardless of that, even if it was the right action, it was the wrong time to make that. It wasn't just a friend of yours bad-mouthing your wife. This was at a public awards ceremony at the Oscars, no less. And he won the Oscar for Best Actor. So, it was a bit silly that he did that. It was completely inappropriate. So all three of those actions, by Kanye West, by Will Smith, and by Mickey Rourke, I believe it was Mickey Rourke, they were all self-entitled jerks doing things they weren't supposed to be doing, just not caring about the way that you're supposed to be doing things. Now, if you were to excuse that by mental health, are you excusing it for Will Smith and Mickey Rourke? What mental health issues does Will Smith have? Perhaps he's dealing with a wife that's not particularly faithful, but that's a bit of a different situation. What mental health issues does Mickey Rourke have? Maybe he was on drugs at the time or drunk or something. I can't think of anything else. So I think we're excusing this a bit too much, and we shouldn't be excusing it. And I think that similarly, we can look at some of his other actions, and he's recently criticised Black Lives Matter. And some people are saying, well, that's a mental health issue. Well, why? Are you not allowed to criticise Black Lives Matter without people assuming that you have a mental health issue? So I don't think that's fair. A lot of people have criticised them. And then they toppled statues, they burned books, they started riots, they burnt things, all sorts of stuff like that. And I think that if you're criticising that, then I think that's quite legitimate. Now, if you want to support them, well, that's a different issue. But, and I don't think him being black means that he's not allowed to criticise them. And I believe he wore something saying white life matters. Now, I haven't got into what he did or whether it's legitimate. I don't really care. But I don't think it's a mental health issue that caused him to do that. Now, that's not to say he doesn't have mental health issues. His ex-wife now, Kim Kardashian, said that he did. But are they causing him to do this? I don't think they are. And so I'm going to rank him on his personal profile. And again, I'm not excusing anything that he's doing. I've seen nothing to suggest that his behaviour is caused by mental health issues. Maybe it is. But again, I'm keeping this public. I'm not delving into personal things like that. He certainly doesn't appear like Britney Spears when she had her breakdown. That was clearly some kind of mental health issue, and acknowledged to be so. But this was quite different. And similarly, Amber Heard apparently has a mental health issue. I don't think that excuses her behaviour. Even, the borderline personality disorder that she was diagnosed with during the trial, I don't think that excuses it. And certainly that wasn't the finding of the court. You don't suddenly lie because you have a mental health issue. Well, maybe there's something that might lead to that, but I don't believe borderline personality disorder causes you to lie, or anything else that she claims to have, or other doctors have diagnosed her as having. So look, I'm ignoring that. And in fact, I don't really like the conversation about that with regards to him. I don't like blaming things on that. I don't like excusing it on that. I don't like saying, oh, if he does have a mental health issue, that he's bad. He's bad for what he said, for what he's done. And do I regard him as bad? Public personality-wise, absolutely. Now, maybe his Black Lives Matter thing was okay. I don't know. I haven't really looked at that. But a lot of the other things he did, and you know, going to the president, he made fun of a fan, I believe. And, there's all sorts of ridiculous things that he said and done, and these were really cruel things, really callous things. So I think his public personality or public persona, and it might not be what he's really like, make him look really bad. And how bad? I'm putting him as number 3. So I have Taylor Swift number 1, I have Amber Heard number 2, he's number 3, so that's where Kanye West sits with me. Number 4 is Meghan Markle, and number 5 I have that bot sentinel or Chris Boozy. And again, I'm not sure if I should count him as a public figure, but certainly his bot is a public figure, and it's a rotten bot, but not as rotten as Kanye West. So that's my view on it. He's number 3 for me. Anyway, that's it from me, and I believe that's probably all I'll do on the analysis of celebrities' public profiles. I'll think of something else to talk about next time. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Bye bye.